Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with a short little update to discuss the information we've been handed out recently about the new legendary lords that are coming out with the Prophet and the Warlock DLC. So recently CA just put out this nice little infographic here that gives us most of the information that's sort of relevant about both Tehenhauin as well as Ikit, and I just wanted to go over it. Let's sort of discuss what some of this could mean as far as campaign is concerned, and the changes that we might see because of it. So regardless, hopping right in. Not much to be said here, but I'll be leaving a link to this page down below. It's also been linked on the forums as well, so if you're looking for it, you can definitely find it there. Now, first and foremost, we have Tehenhauin. So Tehenhauin, well, there's not much to say. He's the leader of Sotek's cult. He has a whole bunch of unique abilities, and we're kind of going to be going over those here. So for faction effects, he's got sacrificial offerings, which we've already known. After battles, he can offer sacrifices to Sotek, which over time lends you various improvements. And there's different stages, apparently, of this prophecy to Sotek. And here we can actually see that much like, for example, Morgur, or Skarsnik, who are really forced or pigeonholed into running a certain infantry composition. We have a very similar effect here with Tehenhauin, who gets plus 200% upkeep for Sars infantry and Temple Guard units until he completes stage 1 of the Prophecy of Sotek. Now, obviously, this is going to make perhaps early game life a little bit difficult because you're going to have to rely on your skink cohorts to do most of the work. You will be getting the red crested skinks, which may even the playing field a little bit. And he does have a few unique buffs for skinks, which we'll be going over a little bit. But it's definitely going to offer sort of a unique playstyle. Definitely a very different playstyle. And there's definitely going to be a bit of, I think, leeway depending on just how difficult it is to complete stage 1 of the Prophecy of Sotek. If it's relatively easy, this might not be too much of a hindrance. If it's difficult, it could become an issue going into late game. Obviously, though, it still doesn't affect your monstrous spam. So if push comes to shove, if you're not able to really get the prophecy done, you can most likely spam Croxigors, big monsters, and still get by okay. He also has a cheaper right cost, 75% off on the right of Sotek. Makes sense, he's the Prophet of Sotek. What a surprise. Besides that, for Lord effects, 10% physical resist for skink units. Honestly, not amazing, but hey, it's something. Leadership plus 10 when fighting Skaven. This might seem like something silly, but in fact, given the fact that skinks are going to be your bread and butter in early game, you actually might want that extra leadership. Skinks, I think, only have a baseline leadership of like 60, which is like state troop level. So really not the most amazing, especially if you're on higher difficulties, and having that extra leadership will be a big boon, in my opinion. He also gets extra untainted in local province, which might be relevant. Less so in his Vortex start, as we can see here. But definitely, I think, pretty important in the Immortal Empire start, which we'll see in a little bit. He also does get 3 different mount options. CA has kind of gone the lazy way out here, and they've done this both for Ikit as well as Tehenhauin, and they've done this now for, I do believe, Helebron, as well as Alariel, and obviously Lockyer, giving them non-lore-friendly mounts for the sake of balance, rather than trying to balance a Foot Lord or a more limited mount selection. Personally, I'm not the most thrilled about this, but you know what? Hey, it's something. It should definitely mean that he's going to be a pretty competitive option in multiplayer, and definitely means that in campaign you can get some big beasties to mount him on, whether that be a Riperdactyl Horn one or a Stegodon with the Engine of the Gods. He also does get 2 items, the Plaque of Sotek as well as the Blade of the Serpent's Tongue. I assume this is simply going to be the item. I assume this item here, what they mean by starting item is that you just get it right off the bat. The similar way that I do believe Alithanor gets the Shadow Crown or the Moon Bow right off the bat. I forget which one he gets exactly. And then he has later quest items. Now, start positions. This is where things get a little interesting. So, on Vortex map, we can look at the maps here. On the Vortex, you're going to start in the far south, right by the Eastern Gulf. So near the High Elf settlements on the coast here, near Skrolk. So definitely this could be an interest, and near Kalita, who's over here. So this is definitely going to be an interesting start position. Definitely not a bad one. I think personally it's going to be pretty fun. It's also going to be nice being able to sort of secure yourself a backline where you don't have to worry about being flanked and surprised and harassed that way in Vortex. In Mortal Empires, it's definitely a bit different, and this is where I think the anti-corruption is going to help you, because you're starting right next to Luther Harkon as well as the Vampire Rebels in the north, and Skaven to your south. So you're surrounded by corruption and spreading nasties. So having that extra Untainted is going to be a huge boon there, in my opinion, and definitely going to be very useful. The other good thing about this is that for most of your early game, you will be fighting lower tier troops. So the fact that you're stuck with skinks will hopefully not be that much of a crippling issue if most of what you're fighting is zombies and Skaven clan rats and Skaven slaves and trash like that. Besides that, for his unique shenanigans, he's got Lore of Beasts. We kind of expected this. He's a caster. It's awesome. Having a new legendary Lord caster is definitely very cool. He's got an ability. He's got a few different abilities. Fanatic, which gives him more melee attack and physical resist. Prophecy of Eradication, which gives him bonus versus inventory, more weapon strength when fighting Skaven, Beastmen, Chaos-related factions in general. And that's for his whole army. And then he himself gets plus 10% weapon strength. Definitely very cool. Disciples of Sotek, which gives plus 20 armor for red-crested skinks, and Bastillodons with Arc of Sotek. So that's definitely a very cool sort of ability there. Plus 8 melee defense for red-crested skinks as well. And this is definitely going to be helping get you that skink-based army early on, I think. And definitely going to be very nifty there. And then finally, Tide of Sotek, which basically does plus 10 leadership for red-crested skinks and Bastillodons, and plus 8 melee attack for red-crested skinks. So it's like the friend here is the Disciples of Sotek, and it's definitely going to be a cool combo. You're going to be able to get +8/+8 on top of the buffs you can already get on your red line, and I think he's going to have a very potent skink army. Much bigger issue probably is going to be dealing with your other armies, which are not going to be getting these crazy buffs. But assuming you've got the basic skink armor of 30 on the red crested skinks, getting it up to 50 is going to be a huge boost. That's almost doubled. That's a 66% boost, so definitely crazy. And then we do have Promises of Reconstruction, more Public Order, more Untainted, more tax rate, definitely all great. The extra Public Order everywhere is nuts. That's, in my opinion, going to be huge. More Untainted, once again, you're surrounded by tainted trash in your starting location, especially in Mortal Empire, so you want to be able to deal with it. Being able to get more Winds of Magic with Sotek's Gifted, definitely very nice. Reverence, Casualty Replenishment Rate improvements, plus 1% doesn't seem particularly huge. I assume this is supposed to be a plus 10%, and they simply typoed here. And then minus and reduced upkeep for Red Skinks and Bastillodons. So that's definitely very cool. Now, unfortunately, it does look like he's limited to just the Bastillodons with the Arc of Sotek here as far as the upkeep reductions go. But, you know, it's still something. And we'll definitely see how powerful the Bastillodon with the Arc of Sotek is in campaign. Finally, Sacrificial Offerings, which gives you plus 20% through post-battle options and improves global recruitment capacity and local recruitment capacity. So this will hopefully help you get your rights faster, or your Prophecy of Sotek stages done faster, and having more global recruiting and local recruiting is always nice. So definitely some cool stuff. I think that he's going to be well equipped to deal with the fact that he's got kind of cancerous position, like in Mortal Empires, being surrounded by vermin that spreads corruption from 3 sides essentially is going to be a huge pain in the posterior, and so being able to deal with that reliably is definitely going to be huge. And I think hopefully it's definitely going to be an interesting start. Being limited to skinks, he's probably going to be a hard start, I would assume, maybe even very hard, but definitely should be a fun challenge for those who are up to it. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we do have Ikit. Now, Ikit, obviously the leader of Clan Scryer, does have very different starts, in fact, in Mortal Empires vs. Vortex. Faction effects. He gains access to Clan Scryer's Forbidden Workshop. This is most likely similar to the workshop for... or I'm assuming it's going to be similar to like the Forge for the Dwarves and things, and the Cult and the Canopic Jars and whatnot for the Tomb Kings. But we'll definitely see how that works out. More research rate. Amazing. That's plus 20% is really nice. Plus 2 loyalty for new recruits. So this guy seems to be definitely on the easier side of things. Construction costs minus 40% for engineering buildings. Once again, really good stuff. With Skaven, you can usually fast tech. You grab a settlement, quickly fast tech to engineering buildings, and you're set. He starts the campaign with a Warp Storm Doom Rocket, which is kind of cool. Definitely, you get a nuke right off the bat. He gets reduced upkeep for your weapons teams, which is definitely very cool. Not sure how important this is going to be. I'm not entirely sure how good these units will be in campaign. If you're still going to want to do artillery spam, or if having more blocks and rattling guns is really going to be great. We'll see how that works out. But definitely having reduced upkeep is cool. High recruit rank for Skaven weapon teams, not bad. He's got Doom Flare and Doom Wheel mounts. This is something, like I said, I'm not exactly as happy about. I wish CA would balance Footlords properly in the vein of Vlad and Skrulk, who are like the model Footlords, instead of being lazy and copying out with mounts. But I'll take it. It is what it is. Definitely should help him, especially in Quick Match, getting out there and surviving and casting. He's also got unique items, Iron Frame and the Storm Demon. Not entirely sure what these items are really going to be doing. I would assume it's definitely going to boost his survivability, but we'll see what exactly it buffs. Definitely, though, looks very cool. Then as far as maps go, well, as far as the starting location goes, well, in Vortex, he's starting down here in the Volcanic Islands, in the Star Tower. So this is where Techless starts in the Mortal Empires campaign. Honestly, not a bad start. You don't have too much competition. You don't have to worry too much about getting backstabbed or backdoored by enemies. You should be able to expand relatively safely into your opposition. I honestly don't see too many issues with it, and yeah, it just looks like a fairly comfy position, to be honest, with a lot of expansion options. Now in Mortal Empires, you're starting Skaven Blight, which is awesome. That's definitely the starting position. The only other starting position I really want the Skaven to get at this point is Help It, all the way up in the north. But with this, now, this is awesome because now Skaven are going to have start positions in Nagorond, in Lustria, in the Southlands, and now in Skaven Blight. So you are the world corrupting plague now. Skaven literally have an option to start almost everywhere they want. The only missing option really is the far north of the old world. But having this option is definitely going to be very cool. You can start your early game fighting Empire and fighting the Vampire Pirates and fighting Angrund and all that sort of stuff. Definitely very exciting, and definitely should be a lot of fun in my opinion. You get to fight Beastmen. You're fighting from a big capital that's only got one settlement though, so definitely should be very interesting. Should be very different. And I don't know if Skaven Blight is going to have some unique buildings or whatnot coming in as well. It would be kind of cool to see the uniqueness of the settlement expanded. Besides that, Ikit Claw does get Lore of Ruin. He's also ranged. He's a decent ranged combat. I'm not sure if he's in a dedicated ranged combat with his flamethrower arm. We'll see how exactly that works out. But he does get Lore of Ruin, which is very cool. Power Overload, reduce up cooldown to spells. That's nice. Not the most amazing thing ever, but something. Warp Tick Academy, so you get more loyalty for Warlock Masters, which are the new Lord type. And you get more hero capacity for Warlock Engineers, which is definitely both of these are very cool and very useful in my opinion as far as the Skaven are concerned. Getting more heroes is always nice. Getting more loyalty on your starting Lords is always good. Stacked on your basic +2 loyalty, it means you're going to be starting with +5 loyalty on all your new Lords, if all you're doing is recruiting Warlock Masters. And honestly, I feel like Warlock Masters are going to be a great Lord to go for. In my opinion, they're probably going to be the best Lord you can go for. I could easily see them being better than both Grace Tiers as well as the Warlords. He's getting improved Warp Stone Detector, so he's going to get more chance to acquire Warp Fuel after battle. This is the unique resource you need to invest in your Forbidden Workshop. The very latest thing, more damage and increased range and anti-large on his Flamethrower arm. Definitely kind of cool, definitely kind of fun. We'll see if it's actually all that important. Recruitment duration reduction for Doom Flares and Doom Wheels. This is definitely nifty. And finally, we do have the Doomsday Scientist, which improves Winds of Magic power reserves and upgrades the ability Brass Orb, which I don't believe was actually listed anywhere here. I'm not entirely sure what the Brass Orb is supposed to be, but definitely should be interesting. Either way, I think that it's actually interesting that with this release, we're going to have two very different Lords and difficulty. In my opinion, Ikit's going to be a fairly simple and easy Lord. A lot of his kit just seems very forgiving. And something, maybe not as noob-friendly as Skrulk, but pretty close. Maybe the start position will make a huge difference. Maybe I'm not realizing something about Volcanic Islands, but I don't think so. I don't think they're that hard of a start. And then you've got Tehenhauin, who in my opinion has a pretty damn difficult start. Maybe not in Vortex. In Vortex it seems decent, but especially in Mortal Empires, where you're going to be surrounded by corruption, spreading forces, and you're stuck with lower end troops early on. I could definitely see it being a little difficult and life being a little miserable. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm way off here. Maybe I'm way off base. But I definitely feel that that might be the case here. Definitely an interesting take. I'm very excited to see how exactly these two do pan out. Excited to see the hard stats on some of them. Obviously, Ikit is clad in basically power armor, so seeing how exactly that's translated as far as survivability goes and all that sort of stuff is very exciting. The only thing I'm really disappointed about here is the mounts. I wasn't too happy about this with Lockyer. I wasn't too happy about this with Hellebron and Alariel, and it's a tendency that I guess CA is just going to stick with now, where they give every lord that should be on foot a mount. In my opinion, it's a lazy cop-out. Instead of trying to balance lords, and there are some competitive foot lords. You've got Skrulk, you've got Vlad, you've honestly got Noctilus, who probably needs a nerf, actually. He's probably a bit overpowered right now. But there are very competitive foot lords out there. And especially for caster lords, which both the Tehenhauin as well as Ikit are, in my opinion, there's just no excuse to be giving them a mount when they really don't need one. Or they shouldn't need one. You should be able to give them the utility they need without getting them a mount. And maybe this is just me. Maybe it's just a gripe I have. I just feel that it's such a lazy cop-out. Maybe it's just me. But that's really the only disappointment here that I have here. Otherwise, it's definitely very exciting. I think this is a very cool lineup of both start positions and starting abilities and unique gameplay mechanics. I'm actually very hyped for most of it. But definitely the mounts, a little bit disheartening there. It's something I'm not too happy about, but what can you do? Either way, be sure to leave your guys' comments down below if you don't agree with me, if you think the mounts is actually a good way to do things, if there's other things you're excited about, if there's different additions that you think are significant or other questions you have on it. I can't really answer much right now because I don't know more than you guys really. But if there's any input you guys would like to put in, be sure to post it down below. I'll be leaving a link to this page here in the description. As usual, guys, I do thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Wyvern out.